the irony is that if you were to give me that job on the cruise ship, I probably wouldn't be depressed anymore.
Because I'd be on a cruise ship.
Because I'd be on a cruise ship singing. You would give me the self-esteem to fill my self-esteem tank.
In this podcast, I'm speaking to Ellerose Guillory. She's an actress, a musical performance artist, a musician, and she's also suffered with a variety of mental and emotional health issues that she has used her artistic interests to help her deal with. So today, she'll be talking about the struggles that she's had and how she's used that in her performances. And also she'll be performing a song for us off her new album. So take a listen. Hello.
Hello. Oh, sorry, there was like a thing in the way of your head and I couldn't see.
You're right.
I am very technologically illiterate.
Just so you know, we're recording already.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I heard it. No, I just was checking that I wasn't on mute.
And you're happy for me to share it. I'm double checking.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How you doing anyway? You all right?
Yeah, no, I just had a stressy time. I'm dog sitting, so I'm between two houses. So cats here, dogs here, one charger here, one laptop here, one like blah, blah, blah. But I only live 10 minutes between, so it's fine.
I thought you meant stressed because of the podcast, but you're stressed because of the dog, right?
Oh, I'm stressed because of life. I mean, I'm always stressed. That's just like woman with autism.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that in the text. I didn't know that before. So what, is that something recent?
Yeah, me neither. It's brand new information to me too. It was like, so obviously male autism's the kind of the bog standard average one that everybody knows everything about, whereas no one knows anything about female autism. Okay. So there's a lot of undiagnosed autistic women out there with like learning difficulties and personality disorders.
Okay, I didn't know that. How does it manifest itself differently then?
Well, just the whole, we're more sociable creatures. Like, so going back to caveman times. So if me and you were in a cave, you would go out, get sticks.
I'll be saying, why are we in this cave?
I don't think our brains were big enough to be questioning our reality just yet. But you boys were more narrow-minded, go get food, bring food back. Whereas girls generally had to kind of figure out, baby, are you okay? Are we okay? Okay. That's kind of my like easy explanation for it. But obviously genetically, I'm studying psychology at the moment. So I am getting there with the kind of the biology of the brain. But yeah, there are a lot of differences in males and females, and Hans Asperger's only studied males in the 40s. So female autism has taken a while to diagnose. Like with any diagnostic criteria, if you are anything other than a white male, it might be different.
Okay. I tend to spend most of my time as a white male.
Yeah, so you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If someone diagnoses something in you, it's probably right.
There's a long list of undiagnosed stuff in me.
There is with the majority of people, like where we are in the evolutionary timeline of medicine in 2021. Take that evolutionary timeline and compare it to penicillin, for example, antibiotics. We just discovered it. We were like, oh my gosh, this cures bacteria. Penicillin for you. You get penicillin. You get penicillin for all different.
Let's immediately start pharmaceutical companies to fleece everybody.
Yes, so we found a thing, and that's kind of where we are with brain medication. They're like, oh, antidepressants, this makes synthetic chemicals for your brain. Let's give it out to everyone. Whereas now we know your ear infection and your fungal infection and your throat infection, and they all require different sets of antibiotics. And we haven't quite got there with brain medication yet. And there's still like, there was something that my lecturer was asking us, we had to discuss at the table, blah, blah, blah. And then the lecturer gathered us all at the end, was like, yes, so we don't actually know. I was just like,
I think teachers
why am I here?
Teachers need to say that at the end of every lesson.
Yeah, neuroscience and like especially brain medication, we've only just scratched the surface, and there's a lot more to come in the field of the brain.
Do you think that's influenced why you've gravitated towards creative expression then?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I guess a lot of neurodivergents find themselves as artists because of that. There's this saying, dyspraxic is from ages ago with the dyspraxia book, which of course, you can use autism as the umbrella term, but everybody's autism looks different. You might have major OCD, major depression. This person might have major OCD, major anxiety. You know, you just don't know what.
You just listed my personality traits.
You don't know what everybody's personalized puzzle, personalized cocktail, whatever analogy you want to use. You know, every fingerprint is completely different. So is every brain. So giving us labels that say this, this, and this isn't the best way of doing it right now, but also is the only way we've got right now. So.
Yeah, we're
getting there. But no, sorry, I diverged from your original question.
Well, divergence your trait, so that's fine.
Hey, yeah.
See the way I knitted that together.
Nicely brought together. Thank you. That was fab.
How did you get started then in the creative kind of? I mean, you've done acting.
That wasn't a choice. That was just my genes. I was just given that. My sister's an actress. My brother's a guitarist. My dad was a guitarist. My mum's a singer. So I was just a. Wait, there are other things to do besides perform. So yeah, that was just a thing. I can't discuss my first performance. I don't even remember because that's how young I was. So yeah, apparently I sang a song from the Muppets. Inception. I don't remember singing it.
You don't remember which one it was?
Something about here on the stair where I sit.
I think I know that one.
My first the first time I remember performing was, I think I was 7 and I was a brother in Joseph. That was my first memory of performing. But there's also a very cute video of me performing at 2 years old, and I was dancing to my dad. Like, I wasn't on stage. My dad was the one being filmed on stage. Okay. And someone saw this little 2-year-old dancing and just panned the camera down to the audience. And I was just like, and then my dad stopped and everyone clapped, and I looked around and I go, oh, must clap.
So you're stealing scenes from 7.
Yeah.
So anytime anyone, and I think your background's musical theatre, but anytime I say to someone who's in musical theatre, how's the acting going? They go, musical theatre?
No, I'm actually quite the other way around. So I'm an actor who lives in musical theatre. But I kind of started with acting. That was actually Newcastle College. I had very low self-esteem, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so all these confident performers coming in here, belting things. And I'm like, I'm just going to sing for you. So they put me in the lower course, the intermediate course. I was like, no, thank you. I did not get 5 GCSEs, A to C for you to put me in intermediate. Like, I got those GCSEs, put me in level 3. So they moved me up, but it was in acting and not in musical theatre. I wasn't in musical theatre class until 2nd year. So I actually had my introduction in acting, and then guess with my sister being a straight actor as well, like that's always kind of been there. And I do feel like I am more of an actor, but yeah, singing is my thing.
Well, yeah,
and then I had to learn to dance just to get the degree in musical theatre. So
is that just something to do during the chorus? So.
Oh, you have to be able to dance. At 16 it was like, right, girl, if you're gonna do this musical theatre thing, your singing is great, your acting is great, but if you really, really want to do it and you really want to, do it as a career, you have to learn to dance. And obviously I didn't know what dyspraxia was back then. That wasn't a word that anybody knew what it was. Yeah. Dyspraxia is a coordination of the brain, is a disorder of the brain that affects the coordination of memory and thought. Okay. Perfectly put there when I mixed up my words at the start.
Is that something that the dancing and the performing helped with then?
It highlighted it.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't be sat here with an autism diagnosis if it wasn't for the dyspraxia in dance, because that was the only thing that held me back as a musical theatre performer in terms of getting a first-class degree. The only thing that was oh no, was my pickup speed and my learning of dances. Once I'd learned the dance, you would never know. Oh, okay. That's the joy of a hidden disability. Once I'm on stage dancing with everyone else, you would never know I put in 3 extra hours on those 3 counts of 8.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing, and it's also held me back in terms of auditions. The first thing I said to my agent when we met was, do not put me up for dance auditions that are plainly dance. I have to be able to back it up by singing and acting for them. If they just see me dance, they'll be like, check my CV, where did she come from? So it's really embarrassing. It really is a hidden disability, and it's affected a lot of my life. I quit theatre school aged 8. My mum's like, I have this little pocket.
That was a short career.
She needs to be in theatre school. Puts me in Saturday morning theatre school, where I now work. Shout out to Acting Up. But like, I quit at 8 because I couldn't do the dancing thing, and I was like, I hiding under the table, shivering.
So what is it you have officially been diagnosed with then? Because you sent me you sent me a short list. I call it a CV, but whatever.
Yeah. It's literally a score. It's like
so your CV, and how do they affect you in different ways in the creative arts then? Because they all have quite different impact,
all of them. Yeah. So I would say, so the first 3 that I was diagnosed with. So I was a normal 21-year-old undergrad, went to drama school with no labels, just a rainbow backpack and some weird quirks, and a lot of fast upbeat patter songs, no emotional ballads, which was actually a big red flag at the time, which I didn't know. I wasn't a very versatile performer, and I didn't know that. So I walked into drama school with no labels, walked out of drama school with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and ADHD, and absolutely no self-esteem.
Were you diagnosed because you had gone there, or was it just happened to be the same period of time?
Yes. So I went to state schools. I went to regular old, underfunded schools, and then I find myself at this posh fancy music conservatoire, where I'd always just kind of stood out because of my looks and my talent. So everywhere else, growing up until the age of 21, it was like, oh, she's pretty, she's talented, she's fine. She's pretty, she's talented, she's fine. I've had
to live with that same burden. It's a nightmare.
I get to drama school and everybody's pretty and everybody's talented. Everyone's a triple threat. Everyone writes, everyone plays instruments. Like, I stick out like a sore thumb because I'm such a weirdo, and I'm like, what? Like, 3 counts in. So it was kind of more obvious to them that something was up. So they sent me for tests and came back with the whole lot. And that December 2016, that was the red flag. That was the seed of hey, you're autistic. But again, even back in 2016, it wasn't obvious that I was autistic because I was a good actor. I masked everything. Okay. So maybe if I was a shit actor, I would have been diagnosed earlier. 62 days.
Yeah, well, you.
They were the first 3 at university at Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD. Come June, my self-esteem nobody was keeping watch of it. Not even, I didn't know I had to keep a watch of it. Yeah. Gone. So that was when the depression and the anxiety took over. And that stayed up until lockdown. Oh, wow. So I just kind of kept gathering labels, got sent to a charity called BAPAM, British Association for Performing Arts Medicine. Then they helped me obtain a grant through Help Musicians UK. So I was given a grant, and that paid for 10 sessions with a private therapist. So finally, 4 years later, I got therapy, because, when you're dotting around the country on short-term contracts, as a musical theatre graduate should do, I'm here for 3 months and I'm on a UK tour for this many months, and then you're here for this many months. So without a permanent address, there is no NHS. The NHS are like, you're moving. So I had to join a waiting list every time I moved somewhere, but then in 3 months. So basically, as a musical theatre graduate, you have to choose. You stay in one place and get help, or do you choose to work and follow your bliss and try and be a performer and do what's expected of you, but you can't have therapy. So it took 4 years for me to access therapy, for 2 reasons. One was my job, and the other was my neurodivergentness. And if you just have a little bout of depression and anxiety, to normal people, what is normal? But I'm going to use the inverted commas for normal people. If you are a so-called normal person with a little bit of depression and anxiety, you will only have to wait 6 months on the NHS. But neurodivergent people who have ADHD or personality disorders, if they see that you're more severe, then they take you off that 6-month waiting list. and put you on the 2-year waiting list, which if you've already been on the 6 months for 5 months,
what a nightmare.
That's another trip to hospital for emotionally unstable humans. So yeah, it's a really crazy time, but I think things are changing.
So the national in National Health Service doesn't seem to apply at all.
No.
Or the health.
Thinking, because there's the graduate circuit isn't just Merlin Entertainments and like the things in England. It's Disneyland, it's Orlando, it's cruise ships, it's
Chessington World of Adventures.
Chessington World of Adventures. Ooh, I love Chessington. From Disneyland's point of view, it's like, oh, are you going to be okay in that Winnie the Pooh costume for 8 hours a day? Half an hour breaks. Really like so. It was really hard to accept that. Am
I right in saying though that the performing helps? So the very thing that would probably help you to be who you really are, you can't access it.
Yeah. The irony is that if you were to give me that job on the cruise ship, I probably wouldn't be depressed anymore.
Because I'd be on a cruise ship.
Because I'd be on a cruise ship singing. You would give me the self-esteem to fill my self-esteem tank, to be like, oh, someone believes in me as a performer. I'm going to go sing for people. Why would I want to jump?
Yeah.
So it's this vicious circle of like, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the delights of the pandemic arrived as well. So that's not.
And then, well, I actually consider myself one of those people who was made by pandemic.
Okay.
I
In what way?
would never have stopped. I would never have stopped. I always wanted to work, always wanted to work. I'm a Duracell, I've got ADHD. I'm on medicated ADHD. I'm a Duracell bunny. But thanks to the pandemic, it forced me to stop. It was like, oh, back up, back in the house. Here's a cat. Here's some universal credit. And what you're going to do is you're going to sort your mental health out. So I got that grant for therapy from Help Musicians UK. And that wasn't even it. You had to find a therapist who would take this crazy piece of thing.
Like a job application.
Yes, it was really hard to find a therapist who would take me. Because when you've got a label like borderline personality disorder, there's a lot of stigma attached to that. I'd rather have a job where somebody's like fully aware of me and wants me, as opposed to hiding my labels and then coming out and me being fired or whatever, because we all learn the hard way. Yeah.
So you managed fine during the pandemic. That helped.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. I was like, wait a minute, I can't leave the house. Like, I don't want to see people. And now, don't get me wrong, there was really hard times in the pandemic with the whole isolation and the being alone. That's a totally different thing, because every human was dealing with the isolation and the being alone. Yeah. What came out of it, goodness for me, was the fact that I had to stop working. I would never have stopped working full time. Yeah. And the services are hard to, and like with not working, every minute of every second, my brain was processing therapy and learning therapy, and I bought all the books, and it was just my new obsession. Went down all the YouTube rabbit holes. DBT. So CBT is a common one.
DBT.
Not CBT. Nope. DBT. So dialectical behavioral therapy is more of a lifestyle change. So they teach you skills to change your way of thinking. Now, obviously, that's what cognitive behavioral therapy is. It is quite hard to distinguish the two, but cognitive behavioral therapy is talking therapies. It's then we do this. Okay, what happens when you did this? Try this. Okay, what did you think when you did this? It's mostly talking. Okay. DBT is mostly behavioral, and it's mostly go and do this thing if you feel like this. So for just, the easiest thing is obviously to just take my poster off of the wall and show you it. So if you're having a meltdown, you're going to check the facts. Yeah. So check only the facts. That was the key didn't work and blah, blah, blah. That person was late because of this, whatever. Okay. Oppose wrong emotion. So if you want to lie in bed and cry and you're supposed to be going to a tap class, get up, go to the tap class, and that will in turn make you feel better. It's all about the balance. So dialectical means kind of doing the opposite to achieve what you... It's really hard to explain. I'm going to definition a bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to do like a rudiment and to boil it down.
Yeah.
So doing the opposite. So if you're feeling very low and you're in and you don't want to get out of bed, then you force yourself to get out of bed. Is that the idea?
Yes, so you have to do the opposite to what you want to do, basically. Then you've got all of these analogies to learn, all the little acronyms, ABC, accumulate positive events, build mastery, cope ahead. So when you're having a panic attack, you change your temperature. So maybe got some ice, intense exercise, do some jogging, paced breathing, muscle relaxation. Please, that's again at your MOT. So if you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Have you eaten? Have you slept right? Have you exercised? Blah, blah, blah. So it's very much like primary school way of living. But of course, we're all adults who are like struggling with our way of living. So it's more about changing your behavior, and changing your behavior will then in turn change your thoughts, as opposed to just going straight in with cognitive and trying to change the thoughts. This is for people who have long-term issues like personality disorders, autism, ADHD, that maybe can't control their thoughts as well as maybe a neurotypical can with CBT. DBT makes you change that behavior first, which then will in turn change your thoughts, because we've got that triangle of your thoughts affect your feelings affect your behaviors, and the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors are a triangle, and each one affects each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So
and you've also turned it into voguing, which is good.
Thoughts, feelings, behaviors.
You probably don't even remember that, do you? Voguing.
No, I think I'm going to maybe put that in my show.
Yeah.
Get the audience to vogue, and then they'll remember the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all connected. So one thing can trigger another thing. But does that make sense?
It does. Is that something you accessed on the NHS eventually then, or is that something you found elsewhere?
I accessed it eventually on the NHS, eventually online. I'm working on a 10-minute play called Why Group Therapy Should Not Be on Zoom. There are so many reasons group therapy should not be on Zoom.
And yet we're doing it right now.
Yes. I'm okay with it now. I'm over it. All right. But the first bit of lockdown was really, really hard, because you are facing demons, and all you have, if you run out of the therapy room, someone's going to come and get you. You know, who was going to come and get me when I decided to close my laptop because I got too angry at my secondary emotion? Do you know what I mean? Like, So it's hard to do alone, because you're facing some really deep, dark things that, you know, not everybody can kind of deal with alone. So hats off to anyone who did therapy over Zoom. Actually, that's a very
sterile way to do it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a different way of therapy. It's not the normal way. It's not what therapists know either. That poor therapists were having to deal with this global pandemic. They don't have that in their file, what to do when there's a global, you know?
Yeah.
So I felt for the therapists as well. It was a crazy time, but now I'm going to be a therapist, so I'm ready for the next one.
Is that what you're shooting for now? Will it be DBT as well? Or...
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure. I've got different roads. Obviously here I am at the cross. I don't know what's going to happen. I've got this album, I've got this musical, I've got this my own kind of business to start, plus I've got my degree, and then of course on top of that, like, I'm an actor. Who knows? Disney might want me for the next musical film.
I think they probably will.
Let's be real. No, I'm actually aiming.
Unicorn Princess, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm aiming for a credit song.
Okay, what's that?
I'm aiming for a credits. You know, when the movie's finished.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I want to be on the credits.
That would be awesome.
But realistic dreams to start off with.
You might have to be less honest in your music to do that, though. You do realize.
Well, that's my Disney one. I just did untangle. And now I want to. No, I do. People go, oh, what's your music? And I'm like, oh God, where to start? It's like a Disney princess rapping about therapy.
That's why I like it.
Genre, that's me.
Yeah, that is the vibe.
It's totally my vibe. £9.20 for my antidepressants, £9.20 for anxiety pills, £90 per therapy session, and they say you can't buy happiness still. Almost a quarter of the population have a little glitch inside of their brains. Everyone knows someone fighting feelings, 'cause it's not okay to not be okay. That's the point, it's invisible, cleverly causing pain. There's no reason for this treason, just a chemical imbalance in the brain. But for those out there who cannot share what's hiding behind their smile, if you're sad too, this song's for you, 'cause lying isn't my style. So pop a pill or three and sing with me about how crap this world can be. And just because this song is in a major key, that doesn't mean it's happy. Monday morning, work is really boring. You're casually ignoring anybody who is talking small. Hi, how was your weekend? How are you doing? Is everything all right? You can't exactly have a meltdown. They were just being polite. So keep up the small talk. Yeah, I almost committed. But you don't want to end up with your P45. So yeah, it was fine. How was yours? But for those out there who cannot share what's hiding behind their smile, if you're sad too, this song's for you, 'cause lying isn't my style. So pop a pill or three, sing with me about how crap this world can be. And just because this song is in a major key, no, it still doesn't mean it's happy. Tell Pharrell if he has some to spare. There's a shortage of happiness, well, everywhere. But if we don't talk and if we don't share, then everyone around us will continue not to care. But for those out there who still can't share what's really behind your smile, if you're sad, oh, it's not that bad. I've been down here a while. Just pop a pill or 103 and wait 8 months for therapy. You can write your song in any key. It's up to you to make it happy.
It'd be nice to end on what you're kind of looking to do. You're looking to do your therapy.
Yeah, I'm gonna become a therapist. But in 2019, back end of 2019, I bought the domain name for Cognitive Behavioural Theatre.
Oh, awesome. That's a good name.
I thought someone would have been bound to have taken that. I was like, come on, girl. So I was thinking, oh, what am I going to call my mental health theatre company? I'm definitely going to do a mental health theatre.
I like that.
All these shows about raising awareness of mental health. What am I doing really? I can't work for other people. I was constantly losing jobs. The only places that wanted me were primary schools, and that meant PGCEing and not being able to be an actor. And as much as I loved being a primary school teacher, acting kind of came first. That's for like later on when I've got kids, I wanted to save that, the teaching thing. So I bought the domain name for Cognitive Behavioural Theatre. I have trademarked it, copyrighted it, can't have it.
Brilliant.
And obviously COVID went, you will not start a theatre company. So obviously I was like, okay, COVID, you let me know when it's safe to proceed. So I'm just sitting on this massive thing. And bittersweet, September 2020, my grandma died. My grandma, absolute rock, absolute pillar, raised me, did the school runs, like total my human.
Do I remember early in the pandemic a photo of you outside singing to her outside? Was that it? Oh,
yeah,
that was beautiful.
That's it. Yeah, my grandma's absolutely everything to me. So the reason that I am at university studying psychology is because she left me some money to do so, and now I have the money to start this business. And like any business, we'll be able to make a loss in my first year and survive. So whilst I know nothing about business, I know all about arts and the brain now. So I'm sitting on this, and I've got my album to release. I need to release that whilst I'm 27. Don't know if you're aware what 27 Club is. So obviously I thought my life was going to end at 27.
Died at 27, yeah.
So Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. I thought my life was going to end at 27, and it's not. It starts at 27. So I released my album demos on SoundCloud on my 27th birthday, which also just so happened to be Mental Health Awareness Day.
Perfect.
So those two things happened. I was like, oh, it's now or never. And that's the only time I've shared the album. I know I need to share it a couple more times. Otherwise, nothing's going to... There's this saying in Newcastle called shy Ben's getting out. And it means if you don't ask, you get. So shy Ben's getting out, and if I just keep sitting here with my demos on SoundCloud, not sharing it with anybody, how am I ever gonna find a studio to produce my album? So
was that shy? That what was it? Shy? The Newcastle playing. What was it?
Oh, shy Ben's getting out. So a Ben is a kid. So we share some words with Scotland, like Lassie and Ben.
Yeah.
And like
so
that
sounds like an album title to me.
Shy Ben's getting out. Actually, yeah. Well, I prefer Once Upon a Time.
Oh, that's good.
Castle Upon Time, Once Upon a Time.
Have you decided on what you're going to call it?
What, the album?
Yeah.
Or Mindful. So this album actually runs alongside an interactive therapy show, which is coming on before Christmas, Northumbria Drama Society. And it's basically an hour-long interactive therapy show. And if you've seen the Inside Out movie, the Pixar film, with the little people inside of the girl's head, it was inspired by that. So you've got my 4 characters running amok with the audience, and I am the therapist trying to teach the audience. So like I just kind of did with my thoughts and behaviors. And so we're just kind of giving the audience a little taster of therapy, and for anybody who is like, oh, I've got 8 months to wait on the list and I'm not going to make it, I can just give you some grounding techniques and some breathing techniques for now, so don't die.
That sounds awesome.
So,
believe it or not, we've talked for heading on for an hour now. It's 55 minutes.
Wow. That went quickly. I didn't take my meds today.
No, well, good. I'm glad you didn't, because I had a lot of fun.
No, you'd get better. You get Sky me. If I took my meds, I'd be like,
This one is about sleeping.
Yeah, no, but I'm actually more dizzy on them ADHD meds. They're not for everyone.
Really? It's been awesome to talk to you today. Anyway, I've really enjoyed.
Oh my gosh, thank you for talking to me.
I'll leave you back to your life now. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. No, thank you. I'm gonna go and write more play. Yay.
Awesome. You're brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you. You're brilliant. I come to London and see you in human form. Goodbye.
Yes, we'll have a coffee. Take care.